Alright, what's going on YouTube? It's Steve here from Click. And yeah, man, it's been a minute since I've posted a video on YouTube. Obviously a little bit of a different look here, not sitting in the usual Click office, sitting in the 2023 Acura Integra. Managed to pick one of these up a few months ago. Traded in the Civic and thought, hey, this is a great opportunity. Got a new car, great opportunity to start making some content, make some videos, and just give you guys my thoughts and impressions, and we can chat a little bit here. So what we'll do, just heading out today, as you guys can see, it's a bit of a snowy, rainy, slushy kind of day. Obviously up here in Canada, I'm in Toronto, so the weather is starting to turn into winter real quick. What we'll do is I'm gonna jump out. I'll give you guys a quick walk around the car. Hopefully it's not too windy. Hopefully the audio is on point today. This is really more so just a test video, just to sort of get the head mount going and make sure I don't need any additional equipment or audio or anything like that. So what we'll do is let's hop out. I'm gonna try and make this quick because obviously it's snowing outside, but I want to show you guys the car, talk a little bit about the mods that are on so far. Right now what we're looking at here is obviously, like I said earlier, the 2023 Acura Integra. Right now I've lowered it on iBox springs, the Pro Kit, so we have a mild drop. Doesn't impact the ride quality too much. As you see here in the rear, I'm not going to get down on the ground, but you guys can see here that I've got the Remark exhaust installed. Obviously the car looks awesome. I think, in my opinion, it's a nice looking car. When it first got unveiled on the Acura press conference and whatnot, wasn't the nicest looking vehicle, especially in that yellow paint job, but it looks like that Acura kind of cleaned that look up here. Going around to the front, you guys can see, we'll let this TTC bus go by and this Hyundai go by. We have the front end of the car looking very sort of hatchback-like, very aggressive, very Acura in the front here. In the front, I've only got the fog lights tinted, have yet to put on any sort of front bumper, front splitter, but that will be in the works. Love what else we got here in the rear. We have the rear sway bar that's been installed. Under the hood, just have the 271 front strut bar with the brake brace. Shout out to Unity Performance for providing all of the parts on the car, and shout out to Thusi as well for doing the install work. Very few people I trust with my car, and he is one of them, and so I just thought I'd give him a little shout out there. Quite a few things coming on the list, but we'll get into that down the line as they show up. We'll keep it a little bit of a surprise, so to say. But otherwise, here is the car. I am getting a little bit wet and a little bit cold now, so let's hop in and I'll take you on a little bit of a drive. I will show you guys the interior and whatnot maybe in another video, but unfortunately the weather today is just not working out the way that I want it to. And so let's get going. All right, eyeglasses are covered in water, so I gotta figure I don't have a microfiber in here at all. That might be a little problematic. I need my goggles to see where we're driving, and we'll just do a little adjustment on the camera here. Again, this is a complete 100% in and out test video, so don't mind me if I'm a little bit rusty on talking, and if there are a little bit of sort of quiet points or quiet moments in the video. Still getting used to being back on camera. So let's get going here. We are pulled up just on the side roads by the zoo. Figured it's a little bit quiet, but obviously the TTC buses and that Hyundai earlier on thought differently. So we'll get going here. Obviously I did end up getting the 6-speed manual transmission Integra. I did have a Civic CVT before and figured since I'm getting rid of that, it is time to upgrade and sort of get something else. Nothing really against CVTs or automatics in general. It's just that I want to sort of experience manual. This is my first manual car. It was awesome to learn on. I really did not have any gripes with learning on the car. It's got a few sort of tech features and handy features that sort of make life a little bit easier for you. It's got the obviously the auto rev match. It has the hill start assist, so if you feel like you are going to be rolling down the hill when you depress that clutch, you do have that system there to keep you in place. What else does this thing have? You have the auto brake hold. So right now, I don't know if you guys can see, both my feet are off of the pedals, and we are just kind of sitting here. As you can see on the dashboard here, we do have the little logo of the car. That comes on when you turn the cruise on. So pop that on, just like to see my car. Make sure it's all clear, and we will head down this bloody snowy ramp. Now we are going to be extra careful today, and the reason I say that is because last time it was snowing out here in Toronto, coming up this exact same way, I'm actually going to the mall. Great day to go to do that, but last time it was snowing, I got stuck. So thankfully I've got my buddy with me last time, and he was there to kind of push the car out, and while I could kind of get the rocking motion of the car going forward and backward. That being said, this weather is quite a bit less aggressive, so we hopefully aren't going to get stuck. As you guys can probably hear, that Remark exhaust is doing bits in the back there. It's not super loud inside here, but it does allow for a little bit more audio noise to come through from the exhaust, so that I'm not guessing which RPM I'm at, and just sort of makes the driving experience that much more fun. As you guys can probably see, we're a little squirmish getting out of that snow there, but now that we are on the ground, that LSD is putting in work. LSD, obviously not the drug. We do have the limited slip differential, which is the first for me. Obviously I've never been in a car that has a limited slip diff, so it is nice. It does just sort of keep the power down to the floor as opposed to spinning it away. Definitely comes clutch in these winter driving times. Now I don't have the best winter tires on this car. I believe I'm running the Nexen Sport Guard, Wind Guard Sport 2 or something like that. At the time, just was really looking for a cheap set of winter tires that were going to provide an adequate amount of grip. Honestly, don't really have many complaints about them. They're sort of just your run-of-the-mill average winter tire setup. So we are going to get going down here sort of into the Reesa Road area by the zoo, and this is where we got stuck last time coming up in this area. So I'll show you guys exactly where we got stuck. A little bit of a funny story there. Looks like that the roads are not so bad, so we'll just kind of cruise along slowly here and enjoy the scenery. Talk to you guys a little bit about the interior. As you guys can see, inside here is very civic. There really isn't all too much else to say about it. It's really just an updressed Civic. The center area here is all Civic. The shifter area is all Civic. Steering wheel is right out of the Civic. The dash, as far as I can see, like the dash layout is very similar, but the Civic does have a slightly different, I guess, UI design. We have the 9-inch touchscreen here for the infotainment. I don't use any of the OE infotainment stuff. There is no navigation on here, so you're kind of stuck without it. So I do always have my CarPlay linked up, and just have the map on most times, just to make sure that I am heading in the right direction and not heading in the wrong direction. So let's head up over here. I'm gonna make a little turn into the infamous Reesa Road, where there usually is no snow plows, and so the roads tend to be a little bit more slippery. So we are gonna just take it easy. It would have been nice to get this thing out for a little bit of a more spirited drive today, but unfortunately, with it being winter and with my balls not being so massive, I don't want to send the car, especially with the current road conditions. So today is going to just be a nice, easy drive, catch up a little bit. I guess also talk a little bit about what's been going on over the last, I don't know how many years. To cut it short, really, just didn't really have the time or the energy to continue running the channel the way we were. Myself and Im both just needed a break from it. It was becoming very expensive to keep up with technology, and just with school and work and transitioning into being an adult, full-time life kind of took over, and I just sort of did not have the time or the energy to kind of stay committed to the YouTube channel. I do appreciate everybody who still watches our videos. Funnily enough, sometimes I'll check in and look at our view counts, and we'll see that we do have a few viewers here and there, but not as many as it used to be, which is 100% understandable. But I do plan to sort of, with the new car, and sort of obviously with it being an Integra, just wanted to sort of see maybe there's an opportunity to breathe some life back into the channel and give me something to do with life being sort of work at home nowadays. Things have changed a lot, I'm sure everybody knows, in the last few years, and so now we're got a little bit more free time on our hands to kind of do a little bit of the hobby side of things. So we'll get driving along here. We're heading out to Markville today, Markville Shopping Center or Markville Mall, whatever you want to call that. Gonna hit up the Apple store as usual. Going in there, I did not bring any lube with me, so unfortunately Tim Cook is gonna have free reign when I go in there to pick up whatever it is I'm picking up. Usually go in there for 1 or 2 items and end up walking out with 4 or 5, and that's just the way it is. Got to pay the Apple tax. Not necessarily you have to, but I guess myself and him, we like to choose to pay the tax. Over here, just heading over these train tracks. That Hyundai just full scented over them. Not recommended. You can catch a little bit of air in this this snow, and it could very well offset the car. Now up here, this is where we kind of came off last time, coming over this crest, and realized that they just decided to stop plowing the road. And so didn't really have a choice, couldn't turn around, so we had to continue plowing forward. And right about where that green car is, or the green car, I'm colorblind, the blue car up ahead there, we got stuck. And about 2 or 3 other people were stuck as well. It was a little bit of a shit show, but it is what it is. Everyone got out safe. And let's just sort of keep it going from here. Now I'm getting a call from Thusi. I don't think he knows I'm recording a video, so I will have to kind of ignore that right now. We'll have to call him back after, because I don't think I can take the call and take the video at the same time. So Thusi is probably hitting me up. If you guys didn't know, Thusi is my go-to man for installs, any service work, any inquiries on the car, any codes that get thrown, any sort of car issues, especially Honda, Acura related. Thusi is my go-to. He has been awesome for the last few years that I've known him. He put together my Civic build, which unfortunately is no longer with us. That car did get traded in and put us into the 2023 Integra. I will maybe at some point down the line, I'll pull up some old pictures and videos and I'll do a little bit of a chat about the Civic, but that car is no longer a thing. It has been completely put back to stock and was returned to the dealer and was sold on to another individual, and hopefully the Civic takes care of that client or customer as well as it did me. Now we are going to be heading up into, again, just sort of Reeser Road. It's a little bit of a boring drive. I hope you guys enjoy the scenery a little bit. Get to check out the beautiful wonders of Toronto nature. The trees are all covered in snow. The ground is covered in snow, and the roads are very slick and very wet. But we will do our best here to keep you guys entertained. Now, in terms of the future for the channel, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that, amongst other things today. So, holy, the drone on that exhaust at around 50 or sort of 1800 RPM is gnarly. So we will get ourselves into 6th gear here and cruise quietly up the road. Okay, so in terms of next steps for our channel, so obviously you guys can see I've got the head mount equipped here. We will see, to be honest, this video may not get posted. This is, again, more so just for me to test things out, test out the microphone levels, test out the viewing angles, make sure you guys can see what I'm seeing, and just sort of make sure it's an all-in-all enjoyable experience, because otherwise it's not worth posting to the internet. Now, next steps for channel, like we're saying, going to be doing more so shifting the channel over to car content. And the reason for that, mostly it's just the passion for the tech side of things. It's still there, don't get me wrong, as we come up to a little bit of a random pile of snow in the road there. Don't get me wrong, I still love technology. I still have obviously the most up-to-date iPhone. I've tested all the Samsungs, I've played with them. Same with him. We still in the game, just not as heavily as we once used to be. Nowadays, just with the cost of technology and the phones in particular, you're spending $2,000 to $2,500 a phone here in Canada. Absolutely ridiculous, and just not something that we want to sort of continue pursuing. Our passion over the last, I'd say 5 to 7 years or so has slowly shifted out of mobile tech and mobile technology, that sort of thing, and more into cars and car mods. And again, not to say we all of a sudden this is a new developed a hobby. Myself and him and all the friends around us, we have been car enthusiasts since day one. Just maybe not put that out on the internet as much, as it wasn't as relevant. But we will be talking more so and chatting a little bit more about cars and mods, and in particular our cars and our mods, and giving you our insights and opinions on all the parts and bits that we put on. And again, that exhaust drone really loud inside at around 1800 RPM, but it's not unbearable. Now keep in mind the exhaust setup that we have here is it's a Remark exhaust. Shout out to Hamza from Unity Performance, located out here in Mississauga. He is my local parts dealer, so I call him the plug. He has provided the exhaust system for use on the Integra, as well as provided the other parts on the vehicle. If I ever have any part inquiries or anything that I need to double check or make sure it's going to fit or anything like that, Hamza is my go-to. Unity Performance is the go-to. We do have a tunnel here. Unfortunately, because of the weather, I'm not going to be able to do a little tunnel blast. Just wouldn't be the smartest thing. You don't want to have any traction lost and end up in the side here. This truck, holy smokes, we just got absolutely hammered by salt. Which is also one of the gripes of living out here in the north side. Well, not really in the north, more so the south side of Canada, but we're up here in north compared to most Americans, I'd imagine. And so that is one of the downsides, is the amount of salt that gets laid on the roads here. It is not nice. The car is never clean, unfortunately, but it is what it is. We kind of try to make do with what we have. We are going to be making a left here up at the lights, and basically, again, not a very interesting drive per se. Again, route is very straight. Roads are very straight here in this area. If we want nice routes or nice driving roads, we gotta go elsewhere. Again, this video is more so just for me to test things out, show you guys around the interior a little bit while we're stopped. So we have those seats in the back. Don't ask why I have a code reader back there. That's something we'll get into in another video. But we do have the interior shots. I guess here it's looking very nice. Again, very Civic, but it's not to say that's a bad thing. The Civic is a very well equipped interior. It is put together nicely for the most part. Acura did do little things here and there, such as the panel on the side here, like, you know, the touch and feel is a little bit softer, a little bit more luxury. The material up on the dash, I believe, is slightly different compared to the Civic. And just in general, sort of the fit and finish is very similar to Civic, and maybe a few improvements here or there. But otherwise, you know, if you were to put an average sort of person in the car, and, you know, but between this and the Civic, they would be struggling to find the differences between the two. What else in terms of interior? You know, no complaints. Again, because it is Civic, you kind of have to lower your standard, so to say, in terms of what you're expecting. Now, we also do have a 2022 or 2023 TLX at home as well, and sitting in the interior of that car is pretty much night and day compared to the Integra. Now, with the Integra being an elite model, which is Acura's new scam, is you have to get the top trim to get the gorgeous 6-speed manual. The TLX, I believe, was the tech package, and just the differences between the two. You're sitting in the TLX, you do feel very much like you're in a luxury car, whereas in the Integra, it is a nice place to be. However, you are very well aware that this is not at the same level of the TLX, or nor, you know, the 3 Series and the 5 Series and, you know, the C-Class. Those interiors are trending or tending to be slightly more well-equipped and well put together. Now, in terms of the quality of the interior and the build and the fit and finish, I don't really have any complaints per se. But it would be nice to have some of the creaks and rattles that are very Civic-esque to be sort of removed from the Integra. Maybe something for Acura to look at for the 2024 model year. Just some improvements on the interior setup and the fit and finish, just to make sure that when you're banging that 16-speaker sound system, you don't hear, you know, the windows rattling and the plastics trim and rattling. It becomes a little bit annoying and disheartening that your, you know, $40,000, $50,000 Acura is rattling away like a little Civic. But you know, otherwise, in terms of the car interior, I've got no complaints. There's a very comfortable place to be. The seats are comfy. We have the sort of the micro suede in the middle with the leather on the side, as you guys can see there. Very comfortable seats. You know, I did unfortunately used to have Recaro racing seats in the Civic, which obviously you can't really compare to an OEM seat. The Recaros were infinitely more comfortable for a bigger dude like me. These seats are still comfortable, but I find over long drives I'm having you know, lower back starts to get stiff. around the butt and the hips area get a little stiff as well, whereas in the Recaros I did not have that issue. While it being a little bit more snug in the Recaro seats, you just felt that much more comfortable. Otherwise, you know, in terms of the driving experience in the car, that's sort of where all your money's going. The 6-speed manual transmission here is fantastic. The gear changes are very direct, very slick. You know when you're in gear. There's no question as to which gear you are in. By feel on the shifter, you can tell which gear you're in and when you're in gear. The clutch feel is a little bit light. Now, I did do some reading, and apparently, don't know if this is a quality issue, but apparently some Integras are shipping with stiffer clutches than others. I don't know what the issue is with that. It could just be an isolated situation, but I did see that mentioned across the forums not too long ago. And in terms of the clutch feel, like I was saying, it's very, very light. So as a beginner, very easy to kind of get accustomed to the car. You definitely enjoy the easy, slick feeling clutch. But as you get sort of comfortable with the car and you become more accustomed to driving a stick, or if you've been driving a 6-speed or a manual in general, you know, it can be a little bit light. It feels almost a little bit too light, to the point where there's minimal feedback as to where the clutch is biting and engaging. But again, not to say it's a bad thing. That is more so the race boy in me. I would go as far as to say I might prefer a slightly stiffer clutch, which obviously can be changed with a clutch upgrade, but out of the factory would be nice to have a slightly stiffer clutch than what I've got here. Again, not to say that it is a bad thing though. The clutch feel is very good. Very easy to know sort of just by feel in terms of the revs and the car feel and whatnot, not necessarily through the pedal, but just the other sort of feelings through the car. You can sort of tell when it's engaging and when to get on the gas, and etc, etc. Otherwise though, I think the 6-speed is awesome. It's been great as a daily driver, as you guys can see there on the dash. I've got about 9,600 kilometers on the car after about 5 months of ownership. So a little bit of not necessarily heavy driving, but maybe a little bit more than what I would normally do. But with it being my first manual, kind of expected. You wouldn't necessarily expect anything else. Otherwise, sort of again, just taking a look here, coming up to a stop. And I'll showcase here the brake hold. So I don't have any of my feet on any of the pedals. Of course, only 2 feet and 3 pedals there. But I don't have my feet on, and we're not rolling back. So that is also a very nice feature. The brake hold will disengage when the clutch comes up to the bite point. So you see there, as the car goes forward, the brake hold disengages, and you are then sort of left to your own devices to keep the car going forward. Now, if you do end up rolling back, if you are on a very steep hill, the car will sort of brake or automatically brake the car so that you don't continue to roll back. But I have yet to come to a steep enough hill where that happens. So one of two things: either my brake hold or brake assist is not working, which I don't think is the case, or two, it just activates only on a steep enough hill where the car actually starts to gain some momentum going backward. I do feel like that without a little bit of rollback sort of allowed in the car when you're going uphill would become annoying. If the car starts to brake right away when you're just getting off the clutch and it starts to roll, it would become a little bit annoying. So I can sort of see maybe they've allowed for a little bit of a tolerance there for the rollback. But again, never have had to have it engage on my, you know, just under 10,000 kilometers of driving. Other things to sort of note: the lane keep assist and the lane monitoring assist and that assist and this assist is very annoying. I'll go through here on the heads-up display, or not the heads-up display, the heads-up display is up there. I'll show you guys here. I've got the road departure mitigation disabled because I found going through, you know, living in Toronto, we have construction sites everywhere. There's always lack of road, you know, painting the lines and whatnot. So with this system here, if it can't see the lines, it's kind of pulling you left and right on the road. It became more of a nuisance than anything else. And I also found that potentially could put you in a dangerous position as opposed to putting you into a safe one. So I found with the road departure mitigation, again, with the roads in Toronto being so not nicely painted, a lot of construction zones, the system struggles to sort of see where those lines are. And so it can be, it does and potentially could put you in a position where it's yanking you out of your lane because it thinks that the lane is not there, or it thinks the lane is elsewhere. So I have seen that, and I have experienced that and disabled that feature within the first few 100 kilometers of owning the car. I do have the road departure, or sorry, the blind spot info on, because obviously it's good to know if someone's in your blind spot. Let me go up here. I think it activates after a certain speed, but as I don't know if you guys can see there, that little orange light that popped up in the passenger mirror. Again, I'm not so sure if this angle is showing it, but there is a little orange light there in the mirror that pops up when there's a car in your blind spot. And if you do signal when the car's there, it will beep at you to let you know there is a car in your blind spot so you don't cause an accident. The next system, I got the low speed braking control. Not sure why that's on. I disabled that, so we'll turn that off again. Maybe that's something that turns on every time you turn the car on, which would be annoying, but it is something we'll have to take a look at next time I hop in the car. What that does is essentially it brakes the car if it detects you are going to hit something, which is extremely annoying when you're trying to back into your garage and the car thinks you're gonna hit the bricks of your house. Unfortunately, I have had cases where I'm going up the hill or up the garage or up the driveway into the garage, and it is just braking so aggressively for no reason. It thinks I'm gonna hit my house. Meanwhile, I've got the backup cam on and I've got all the sensors blaring at me, and it still thinks that it needs to apply the brakes. So I did disable that. I do have the parking sensor system on. My garage is a little bit tight, got a lot of stuff in the garage, and so it is sometimes a little bit of a tight fit. So it's nice to know, just sort of based on the radar, when you're getting close to a car or close to another wall or some sort of object, you get a little, I guess, diagram here. It'll show you the yellow and orange and red lights to tell you how close you are to the object. We do have the collision mitigation braking system. So if this guy in front of me, we're doing 50 and he slams on the brakes and the car detects that I'm not paying attention, it will automatically brake for us in an emergency to mitigate and or avoid a collision with the car in front. Apart from the other safety systems, don't really have all too much to go on here. But I do have two of the systems disabled just because they tend to be, for my use anyway, a little bit more of a nuisance than anything else. Now we are coming up into Markville here, and so this probably will be the end of this video. I will read this or watch this back just to see if there is any sort of improvements I can make on the video, and we'll go from there. I might end up recording this again on the way home, but we'll see what's up. Maybe I'll just post this for shit's sake, just to have a little bit of fun. There is no stop sign here, so that's nice. Let's quickly roll through there. And we are at Markville Mall. All the Teslas there charging. Usually it's a little bit busier, so that's a good thing. Don't usually like going to the mall when it's super, super busy, but looks like we might have got lucky here. Of course, me being me, I've got to go park out into the corner of the parking lot, as I don't want anyone to park near me or to accidentally hit the car. Now we are in the middle of a... This is usually parking, but it seems that they may not have plowed it. But we will snow plow our way into our own parking spot here. And that will be that. So we are parked up here at Markville. Alrighty, so we have come to a stop. Put on that e-brake. I'm getting a message there from my brother. His name is J-Dog in the phone. All right, so let's go from here. I appreciate you guys watching, if you did watch. And again, this is more so just a test video. Make sure everything's running smooth here on my side. And if not, then I guess I'll be recording this again on the way home. All right, guys, you take care. Have a good one. Bye.